Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask Me Anything. This is the Florist edition. So normally this Q&A is with a farmer, but today it's going to be with me, a florist. I am Ellen Frost. I'm the owner of Local Color Flowers. I have been a florist for over 17. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I have a weird connection. So I'm Ellen Frost. I'm the owner of Local Color Flowers. I have been a florist for over 17 years. I source all of my flowers locally, so my business model is pretty unique. I host an online community called Flower which is full of gardeners, flower farmers, farmer florists, anyone who wants to have flowers be a bigger part of their life, either through hobbies or through business. So within the community, we talk a lot about design, especially for farmers and beginner designers who want to do more design in their work. We also talk a lot about farmer-florist relationship, selling flowers to florists, and lots of other things, fun things. We have in-person meetups. So if you're interested, the community is called Flower and we're having a sale actually right now until Friday, so you can get 30% off. And I hope you'll join me. So today I am inviting you to ask any questions that you might have. You can put them down at the bottom in the comments, or you can add them at the little question mark. And I will be happy to answer any of your questions. So like I said, I'm a florist. I source my flowers locally. I work right now with about 40 farmers throughout our region buying flowers on a weekly basis. So we buy from about maybe a dozen growers every week, depending on the week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but it's at least sort of 10 to 12 farmers a week. And we have been doing that for almost 20 years. So farmer-florist relationships are really important to me, and they are really the crux of what makes my business successful. So if you have any questions today about selling flowers to florists or farmer-florist relationships, or if you're a farmer and you're interested in getting more into design, how to learn how to do design, how to do your first wedding, how to make your CSA bouquets look better, how to make your farmer's market jars look better, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. All right, I'm just checking. Until we have some questions, I know you all have some questions. Let me say that I first got into flowers because the first thing I did was I got into gardening about 25 years ago, and I became a master gardener. And then I started working part-time on a vegetable and flower farm here in Baltimore City. That led me to selling flowers and food at the farmer's market. And then I met my first flower farmer, John McEwen, and he introduced me to the whole world of cut flowers. Early on, I had the goal to provide local flowers to people getting married in Baltimore City. And so when I first started my business, that was my goal. The first year I did 5 weddings of strangers, people I did not know. For a bunch of years, I did weddings for friends, but the first year I did 5 weddings of strangers, and I felt like so successful and so buoyed. I was so excited, and I just felt like this was the job for me. And so I did weddings for many years, and then I added retail and floral design classes and subscriptions and all kinds of other fun things like a flower book club and contests and things like that. So that's sort of how I got started in flowers. So let's see, we have our first question. In wedding work, how do you keep ranunculus and tulips from blowing open in your corsages and boutonnieres? Well, a couple things. One is harvesting them at the correct time. So they will open, but harvesting at the right time and then keeping them hydrated and cool until really the last minute you're about to hand them over for the wedding. So we make ours as close to the time that we're handing them off as we can. We also keep them in a cooler in a hydration chamber. And if you are not familiar with a hydration chamber, you can check out Passion Flower Sue. She's a florist. She really developed this method. It's basically just taking like a wet paper towel and keeping it on top of the flowers inside a container in your cooler. It could be just like a Tupperware container. So that's how we do it. Obviously, once they're out of your hands and it's hot and people are hugging and, there's all sorts of things, those flowers are going to open, they're going to get damaged. But we try to use them when they're in, sort of a closed, semi-closed situation for boutonnieres and corsages. We don't generally use tulips in a corsage. Well, I mean, not a wrist corsage. Ranunculus we use in pinned and wrist corsages. So we want to get them when they're like partially open, not like really fluffy, but just like partially opened. So I don't know if that helps. Weddings are tricky, obviously, like getting the timing right. For many years, I was not great at getting the timing right for wedding flowers. I wasn't sure how to, like, when to receive flowers and then how to get them to open and be peak sort of beauty for the wedding day itself. So that took me a lot of years to try to figure that out. So let's see, any other questions that you have about weddings or about being a florist or working with local growers or the local grower relationship? So like I said, I do offer a class. Actually, I offer 2 classes through the Gardener's Workshop. One is called Preparing to Sell to Florists. It's just a short 2-hour class. It's $50. And it's a great intro to getting ready to sell your first flowers to florists. So it goes through finding the right customer, because that is really important. Finding the right type of florist for you, because florists are not all the same. They're all different and they all have different needs. And I think there can be a lot of disappointment with flower farmers when they reach out to a florist that is not a good fit. So we talk about how to find the right florist for you. And then we also talk about pricing, which is very difficult. And we talk about making a killer availability list, because selling to florists, you really need a great availability list. So in that short course, that's what we talk about. And in the larger class, we talk about, that's called growing your business with local flower sourcing. So that's a great option for people who want to source more local flowers, design with local flowers, sell local flowers. It's great for farmers, florists, farmer florists, whoever you are. So let's see, we've got one question here. What are some selling points from local grower to share with a florist to help sell their blooms? Great question. So how do you market your flowers to a florist? So like I said, first off is finding the right customer. So if you sell amazing sunflowers, like you sell the best sunflowers ever, and you go to a florist who is a wedding florist and all of their designs are, white and pink, you could have the best sunflowers ever. They are never going to need them. That is not part of their aesthetic. It's not part of their business plan. So like I said, first researching and finding the right fit for you. Then you're generally probably not going to be able to compete on price with the wholesaler. You're probably not going to be a cheaper option than the wholesaler. So you have to compete on other things. So quality, I think, is really high. If you have really high quality blooms, that is going to go a long way. Also, having varieties that don't ship well. So being able to offer things that florists can't get at wholesalers, things like poppies or sweet peas or dahlias, zinnias, things that they're not getting. And then more unique varieties. If you can offer varieties that they haven't seen before, like, I don't know, the caramel phlox, that little bicolor phlox. Florists love that, and you are never going to find that in a wholesaler. It's generally short. It's not something that a commercial grower, especially a commercial grower in Colombia or South America, is going to be growing. So finding those things that are like really unique and being able to offer those. And then the other thing I think you can compete on is customer service. So really giving the best customer service you can, because oftentimes while the wholesaler is like buying from a big company. And while a florist might get a good rep, a lot of times, it's just a buyer-seller relationship. But as a grower, if you can really provide amazing customer service for your florists, that's going to go a long way and make a florist want to buy from you. So those are my sort of tips on how to get a florist to buy from you in 1 minute. Let's see. Do we have some other questions that anybody would like answered? Just run through these. I would love to, answer any burning questions. No question is a bad question, so feel free to ask away. So one of the things that just while I'm waiting for some questions, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot in my Flower More community is for farmers who are interested in doing a little bit of design. So either doing a couple weddings or doing something at church or doing something for their favorite nonprofit, or trying to set themselves apart by maybe, like I said, making their CSA bouquets look a little bit better. So we've been talking a lot about how farmers can improve their floral design skills. And inside the community, we have a floral design challenge, which is so much fun. Every month we do a different challenge where, like this month, it's make a design in a basket with a handle. So everybody makes their designs, they share them in the community, and then we discuss them and talk about, sort of mechanics and things like that. It's a really low stakes, high fun challenge. So I think if you're a flower farmer and you're interested in getting into design, definitely, practice, get your hands on flowers doing design more often. Okay, somebody asked, what is your must-have shrubs greenery to have in the garden to add to bouquets? Great question, because foliage is, for florists, they can just never get enough foliage. So in terms of woodies, like if you're talking about woodies specifically, I would say smokebush, ninebark, eucalyptus. That's not really a shrub, but eucalyptus for sure. Dire Villa is great. Let's see what else. If you have, Weigela. Weigela, is that how you say it? Weigela is great. And then like non-shrubs, like maybe other foliages. My number one foliage for spring is variegated Solomon seal. I know it is hard to find, but do whatever you can to find it, because it is amazing. It's super easy to grow. Florists love it, and it spreads. So you can basically, you can sell every stem, no matter how many stems you have. So spring, that is my favorite foliage. Variegated Solomon seal. But I will say, do not get the, don't get the regular Solomon seal, because the plain green, nobody wants that. It's boring and nobody cares. But the variegated, that's the one to get. And then there's like evergreens, of course, like if you have magnolia, boxwood, things like that, that's great for winter designs. Magnolia and boxwood are like some of my favorites. Blue ice cypress is my favorite evergreen. If you can find it, it is the most amazing fragrance for evergreens. It's great to design with. It's great for vase arrangements. It's great for wreaths. Blue ice cypress. We thought it was blue ice cedar for 20 years, but it's actually blue ice cypress. So let's see. I've got another question. In wedding work, how do you... Oh, no. Sorry. I just got on live. Might have missed it. Is there a resource you would recommend or something for planning wedding florals? Well, it just depends. Actually, if you know Jenny Love, she has a class through the Gardener's Workshop all about weddings. and it's a great class. I would highly recommend it. But a spreadsheet, like a recipe, we don't generally use recipes, but there are maybe some things to think about, like when you're, like the elements in all designs. Like I always think of like foliage, focal flower, line flower, secondary flowers, filler flower, and then little bits and pieces. So those are like the elements that I try to have in all of my designs. And then think about, all of the things that you need. 1 bridal bouquet, 6 bridesmaids, boutonnieres, and you can try to map out like the number of things that you would need for each one. But I would definitely check out Jenny's class. It's a really fantastic class, and it's through the Gardener's Workshop. All right, let's see. Other questions people have? Somebody said, I just got pussy willow and curly willow cuttings from a local florist that I'm trying to root. Great. I'm actually rooting some right now in my shop for another farmer. Actually, we're rooting fantail willow and Mount Asama pussy willow. The Mount Asama pussy willow, I'm going to like really give a plug for because it's really unique, really interesting. The catkins are like really like pinkish. They're so cool. And I love pussy willow like on their own, but the Mount Asama, the pink, that is something that a florist would be excited for because it's unique and different. And curly willow is always great. So those are both terrific willows to try, especially this time of year when there's not a lot available. Those are great. All right, let's see some other questions. Anyone have any other questions they want to ask right now? Just while we're waiting for some other questions, you can find me on Instagram 2 places because I like to make things extra exciting. Local Color Flowers, that's my shop name. And you can find me and my shop on Instagram at Local Color Flowers. And then all the things that I do for teaching and speaking and helping farmers and florists source locally and work within seasonality and things like that, that's at Ellen Frost Flowers on Instagram. So you can find me both places. I hope you'll follow me there, and I hope you'll check out my classes through the Gardener's Workshop and my Flower More community, which is a lot like this, but all day, every day, if you can believe that. So just while we're waiting for some more questions, it's the middle of March. So for us, we are starting to get, we have been getting greenhouse grown flowers. So lots of tulips, ranunculus, freesia, carnations, things like that. And then we're also starting to get some field grown stuff, daffodils, hellebores, lots of sticks, pussy willows, things like that. So we're in zone 7, or around there, at least our region. So we're just starting to see stuff start. Somebody asked about bleach in vase water. What's the best ratio? We actually do not use anything in our water when we make designs. The best is fresh, clean water and changing the water every day. So I can't answer about bleach in the water. We don't use it. We do use flower food in our designs if we are doing designs for like a restaurant where we know that the people are not going to take care of the flowers or look at the flowers or change the water or anything, then we will put flower food in there. But really the best is just clean water. And if you check out, I have a YouTube channel. It's just Ellen Frost Flowers. You can find it on YouTube. And we do weekly videos all about floral design and floral design maintenance. So keeping your flowers looking great longer, and lots of other sort of videos about small business, about working with farmers, things like that. So you can check that out on YouTube. But we have one video all about how to make your flowers last longer, if you're interested. Let's see. So somebody asked, I'm learning to grow for a few years before I market myself. Great. Great. That is, you're already doing it right. I was talking to a local florist and she asked what I'll have, and I want to come back to her with confidence. Where do I find good repricing? So you're right that going to a florist prepared is a must do, because a lot of times you'll only get one chance to sort of present your best self to a florist. And in my short class, which is available through Gardner's Workshop called Preparing to Sell to Florists, we talk all about the things that go into pricing for florists. So there are lots of inputs to help you figure out what your pricing is. And I can just quickly run through them, but the class really goes into more detail on them. So one, you have to understand your inputs. So what goes into growing that flower? That is going to help inform your price. Also, you're going to have to figure out where in the marketplace you want to be. Do you want to be the highest priced person? Do you want to be the lowest priced person? Do you want to be in the middle? So that's going to require some research on your part to see what other people in your area are growing flowers for. You can do that by getting a wholesale account, like at your local wholesaler. I think that is the number one way to check on prices in your region. You can also get on an availability list of another grower in your region or pretty close so that you can see what their pricing is like. And then you have to figure out what the market can bear. How much is somebody willing to pay for a certain flower? And again, that is going to take a little bit of figuring out, because you might want to sell something for $4 and the market may only want to pay $2 because that's what the wholesale price is. And then you're going to have to figure out if that price can work for you or if you're going to lose money or break even, and that is not enough to charge. So pricing is really tricky. If you are a member of the ASCFG, if you're not, I highly recommend it. But if you are, you can go back through the Ask the Experts, because Maya Kosick of Hill and Homestead and I did an entire hour-long presentation about pricing for florists, working with florists and pricing for florists. So, but I would also just check out my small course, because it really will. I've had lots of feedback of people saying it gave them the confidence to walk into a florist and be ready to sell to them, because it really takes you through all those steps to get ready. Can I link my Instagram in this chat? I can link it in the comments when I'm done. I'm not really sure how to do it right now. I will link it in the comments, so just check back. But the first one is Local Color Flowers, and the second one is Ellen Frost Flowers. But I'll link them when we're done. So come back and look at the comments. I don't know how to do it while we're doing it here. Somebody asked, what's the best way for a farmer to introduce themselves to a florist? Great question. Again, this is something we cover in my short class, Preparing to Sell to Florists. First, do your research. So in my Flower community, we just had a great example of this. And I was so excited that this worked for this farmer. So she said, first she's going to do her research. So she sought out some florists on Instagram. She started following them on Instagram. And then she started commenting about their work. And then she sent a little message to one of the florists and just said, hey, I'm whoever. I love your work. Love following you. Didn't push herself as a farmer. Didn't do anything. Just got in her DMs and introduced herself. So the florist wrote back and said, oh, I checked out your profile. I see that you're a flower farmer. Do you sell to florists? And then that got the conversation started. So first, find some florists that you want to be introduced to and do your research. Read their websites, get on their social media, go to their shop. Don't cold call, just go to their shop and buy something. Check things out, see what they're producing. And then send an email, a professional email, introducing yourself, explaining what you do, where you are, and asking for a meeting. Whether that is just a quick meeting where you're going to drop off a sample. It's hard for florists when farmers just cold call and walk in, because people are busy. Like when we are working in the shop on a wedding or something like that and somebody shows up, we don't always have the time to just stop what we're doing and sit down and talk to them like I would like to. So try to set up a meeting. bring a sample. And then when you bring a sample, tell the florist, I want you to keep the sample for yourself and just try these flowers out, see how they work, see how they last. And then be prepared when you go to that meeting to tell the florist all the things they want to know, because the florist is going to say, what are your prices? So you have to have some sort of price list. What do you grow? You have to have some kind of list. Do you deliver? Have a plan. What's the delivery fee? Have a plan. How do I pay? Have a plan. Be able to answer all of these questions when you arrive so that the florist can say, okay, I've got all the information I need. Yes, I would like to order from you. So that's a starting point. But yeah, do check out the class if you want, like I said, in our Flower More community, these are things that we talk about a lot. We workshop, we do a lot of peer-to-peer coaching. So, if you're interested in Flower More, you can find that on my website, ellenfrost.com. And we have a sale through Friday. Let's see. I have a local florist wanting my flowers, but she thinks I should be cheaper than her wholesaler. I bet she does, right? I mean, everybody wants something for cheaper than it is, but you are the expert in your flowers and you have to come up with a price that works for you. If you lower your price because that florist said they want you to be cheaper or match the wholesale price, that does not set you up for success long term. If you lose money or break even, you will only be in business for a short time. And so I think that you have to, one, try to explain to the florist why your prices are what they are. Higher quality, better varieties, better customer service. Those things that are going to make you have real value to them in their eyes. And the other thing is, if they don't value those things, if they don't value high quality, good customer service, unique varieties, if they don't value that, then they're not a good fit for you. I mean, it's just, that is such a hard thing to say because nobody wants to turn away work. But if they don't find value in what you do and they are not willing to pay what you're asking, then they're just not a good fit. It's too bad. Let's see. Any other questions we have on here before I go today? I'm sorry that I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm sniffling. Just checking to see if there's any more questions. Okay, no more questions right now. So that's great. I'm so glad you all tuned in to hear me chit-chat about flowers. Like I said, you can find me on Instagram, Local Color Flowers or Ellen Frost Flowers. You can find my short course on the Gardener's Workshop for $50. It's a great deal. I'm not going to lie. And then you can check out my online community, which is on sale through Friday, which is an opportunity to connect with me and peers all about the things that we're talking about today, which basically gives you a direct line to talking to people about these issues all the time. So thanks for joining. I'll link the things in the notes or in the comments here for my social media. And I hope you'll follow me and hope to be back here on the Gardener's Workshop Instagram